Between 5 million to 10 million years ago, the Nazca crustal plate was on the move, creating a hotspot in the mantle of the Earth. This interaction of plate tectonics and hotspot volcanism created the Archipelago de Colón, more commonly known as the Galapagos Islands. The isolated terrain of the islands harbors a diversity of rock formations and plant species that are unique to the geography and climate west of the coast of Ecuador. Situated 1,000 miles from the coast, this place today is a paradise for 450 different species of incredible animals. This is a place where species not seen anywhere else on Earth live and thrive, including some of the world's rarest birds, the world's only marine iguana, one of the world's highest abundances of sharks, and some of the world's deepest diving sea turtles. One of the most protected pieces of land on Earth, this place acts as a sanctuary for these species, many of which have populations only in the thousands and dwindling. It's a place they can live their lives freely without even the thought of human presence to disturb them. These factors make the archipelago the only of its kind, a true marvel of nature, the likes of which we may never again have the privilege of witnessing. The Galapagos is home to countless species of marine and terrestrial animals, many of which are endemic to the Galapagos itself. This means that much of the wildlife in the Galapagos can only be found there. 80% of the birds, 97% of the mammals and reptiles, 30% of the plants, and 20% of all marine species in the Galapagos are exclusive to it. Some of this wildlife includes the only penguin species in the world found north of the equator, the Galapagos penguin. They are extremely endangered, however, with a population of under 2,000 due to introduced species feasting on their prey and outside diseases spreading and wiping out the penguins, whose immune systems aren't accustomed to the foreign bacteria. The Galapagos is also home to the world's only marine iguana. They may look fierce, but they're actually herbivores that feed off of mostly algae. They use their sharp teeth and snout to scrape it off of rocks. Their population is scarce as well, due to invasive predators such as rats and feral cats and dogs, to the point where they are considered vulnerable to extinction. The world's rarest bird, the flightless cormorant, also resides in the Galapagos. Only about 2,000 exist, but their population has taken a frightening dips in the past, down to as low as 900 due to fishing. This can both decrease their food supply and leave them trapped in fishing nets. And let's not forget the, while not commonly endemic, still very blue-footed booby. These birds have streamlined bodies that allow them to dive into the water from heights of up to 80 feet to catch their prey, sometimes working in coordinated groups to increase their chances of getting food. When it comes to breeding, male birds show off their feet to female birds. Whoever has the bluest feet scores the mate. Their population has been declining as of late, going down from 20,000 around 5 decades ago to about 6,400 today. This can be connected to the drop in sardines around the Galapagos, which is their main food source and can strongly affect their breeding cycle. This can have devastating effects on the population, seeing as that they only raise 1 to 2 babies a year. In fact, the amount of sardines has gotten so low that in recent years there have been findings of blue-footed boobies starving to death. This sudden lowering in population has also had repercussions of the Galapagos hawk population, an endemic species that likes to feed off of blue-footed booby chicks. The coral life in the Galapagos is fascinating as well, creating an abundance of reefs that fish can call their home. However, due to the drastic changes in temperature over the past 2 years, the coral is losing its nutrients it needs to live and grow in the waters, causing them to go bleach white. It's amazing to see just how many unique and wonderful species reside in the Galapagos, but with populations constantly bordering endangerment due to fishing and invasive predators, there has never been a time to be more cautious and protective of these animals. The Galapagos is home to countless endangered species, so naturally, most of the islands are preserved as national parks to protect the rare, one-of-a-kind wildlife. While this avid preservation of wildlife is widely considered to be a good thing, it's a different story told from the perspective of the Galapagos economy. As part of preserving the wildlife, things like tourism and fishing, two of the Galapagos' main industries, have to be limited to prevent pollution and overfishing, which can both have very extreme effects on the ecosystems throughout the islands. For example, tourism, easily the largest of all industries, employs 40% of the population in the Galapagos. It's a huge source of immigration and income for the country. However, due to the strict preservation of the wildlife, it isn't allowed to expand much beyond what it is now. This is frustrating for many businesses such as hotels, who would like to make far more money if they could, expanding to the other islands. The reason that fishing takes a blow from the conservation efforts is because many of the restricted areas around the Galapagos contain rare fish species that could make the fishermen far more money than they are making now. And these matters only become more amplified when you take into account population. The human population of the Galapagos is increasing at 25,000 residents per year and 220,000 tourists per year. Yet no one has anywhere to go. It is easy to see then why many citizens and businesses are frustrated by the conservation efforts. So, if conserving the wildlife then severely results in this economic backlash, why haven't the efforts let up a little to allow it to expand? The answer comes from a much larger threat, one that reaches beyond the control of the animals, or us. Climate change has swept the Galapagos, and the ecosystem simply hasn't been able to keep up. The sea level rise and sudden increase in air temperature is dramatically lowering the population of many prey species, leaving predators such as the marine iguana left to starve. Conditions can become so severe that birds such as finches are forced to peck at other birds' feathers and drink their blood for nutrition. With the conditions in the Galapagos already declining as much as they are now, we cannot afford to allow tourists and fishing industries to make it any worse. In fact, very recently, a Chinese fishing boat was found illegally fishing among the islands. They had over 6,000 sharks on board. The fact that many of these species are becoming rarer and rarer means that demand for any goods related to the animals will go up. This will drive up prices, making illegal fishermen even more desperate to find them, and so goes on the vicious cycle. If we simply allowed these boats to roam around as they please, then imagine how many other instances of this we may see. It will almost certainly drive away many of the unique species of the Galapagos to extinction.